Welcome to That Seasonaire podcast. I'm your host Gina. Stick with me as I chat to seasonaires, expats and adventurers across the world sharing their inspiring stories and interesting insights into living and working abroad. Welcome back to part 2 of this 2-part episode where I catch up with the one and only Lauren Kelly.
It's either going to be a tumour on my brain pressing on my pituitary gland, or the other way around, it was going to be a tumour on the pituitary gland pressing on my brain. So that's what was up and pressing on my optical nerve and things. So one was you take medication and it should be absolutely fine, and one was it's inoperable.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's not really any middle ground there.
Stay tuned as Lauren walks us through the madness of tour operator operations during the aftermath of the pandemic, and stick with us right to the end of the show as Lauren shares her terrifying experience of a brain tumour diagnosis. Just a quick interruption to give a shout out to show supporters Palm & Pine Skincare, the award-winning sunscreen brand for the everyday athlete. Here's the show.
And it's so, I always find it really difficult when you get new teammates or new to role team members that I think it's so hard to describe what a normal week is, because they've come out and they've done training and they do something called setup, which is like you're organising all the things in the resort. So you've been trained by the company, then you come for a week before guests arrive so that you can learn the resort, you can do different things. And there's so much emphasis put on it that you feel a lot of pressure to be like, I'm supposed to be the local expert, I'm not supposed to know every single thing, but you're just not going to. And if you don't, it's completely fine. You just figure it out. But I've had a lot of people over the seasons that at the start they just can't grasp what it's going to be. I'm like, honestly, see, after the first week, once you just get into a rhythm and you understand, okay, this is when I go here, and this is what the sort of thing people are going to ask me, you get good. And as well, fake it till you make it.
Exactly. That is so true though. It really is true. I'd never been on a holiday with a tour operator, so I didn't know what a rep really did.
Yeah, same, to be fair, actually.
And so, it took a fair old while for me to get my head around transfer days and all the stuff that you got to do before and during the customers are in the resort. And it took a while.
I also think as well, see, when you start at first, everyone's more than happy to tell you about their horror stories.
Oh, yeah, that is the other thing. It's like, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, don't be surprised if someone screams in your face. I remember that. I'm like, cool, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah,
it's like,
because people have been around the block a bit. That's like the excitement of like, oh my god, this was so bad, and then someone else like, I've had it worse. Like it's almost like one upping a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to be a bit conscious of not scaring people, because you need to be prepared for these scenarios, but you don't need to be terrified going into it your first transfer day, because it is hard going. It's hard work, but it's a good buzz.
Yeah.
You learn to love it.
You do learn to. I miss it.
Yeah,
I really miss it. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago I stopped doing the transfer days, but I was sad to give it up. And but I do remember before I started at training on my first year, someone literally said to me, "You will cry. You will cry."
What, today?
They were like, a customer will make you cry.
Oh yeah.
And they did, to be fair.
And I always try and remind. It's a really difficult thing to do, to try and remind yourself that they're not shouting at you, and it's not your fault, and you've not. They're just stressed and probably tired, and if things aren't going organised, they also don't know that things will sort themselves out. People a lot of the time will say like, oh, how do you cope with people when they're kicking off? And like 99% of the time people aren't. They're people on holiday that are excited to be on holiday,
for sure.
and they see you as facilitating that. So I would say that the energy is generally positive. Don't get me wrong, when you're talking about that, it's great. Those stories are infinitely funnier. But you try not to, or I try not to focus too much on them, because it would just consume you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like on that 5th of January, somebody spat at me.
Really?
Yeah, on the crystal logo on my jacket. I was like, what are you doing? You're like middle-aged man as well. I was like, what are you doing?
That is bonkers.
Like, what possessed you? And I think I was like, what possessed you to do that? I was like, you dragged up.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm also a person. Like, I know that you listen to people, but if you are being rude, then I'm just going to tell you're being rude. Like, I'm not just here to be, like, to get abuse. Like, if you can fire back as well. You don't have to be rude about it, but
no, but
you don't have to be treated like that.
No,
like
100%, there is a line.
Yeah.
So after Italy, where did you go next?
So I came back to our lovely Österreich, so to Austria, and did a season in Saalbach Hinterglemm, which had been on my list for a while. It's a very sought after resort, I think, for especially within Crystal. Good skiing, good après, pretty fun. I think it's a pretty like cool resort as well.
okay.
So I didn't fit in. But it was a good season. I worked with Liv again and another one of my friends. And yeah, although I definitely didn't go on the mountain as much as I should have.
No.
Like, yeah, I think I was lacking in the ski area that season. Kurt at the time was working back in Gastein, so we were both managing, so we couldn't work in the same resort. So he was over there and I was in Saalbach, and as close as it was also quite. It wasn't difficult, but it was a lot of the time I'd maybe be skiing there or skiing Saalbach, so I maybe didn't take the full advantage of it. Although I did get Bergeralmen a few times. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a place in Saalbach that does 2-for-1 drinks, but only for an hour, and people lose their minds. They go and order like, I'll have 7 beers, and then you get 14, or like, I'll have 6 5-hours, and you end up with 12. Like, the tables are just covered in drinks, and it's not even any cheaper. Like, it's still, you're still paying like 60 quid or something. It's mental. And they won't let you have your own tab. So it has to, and the reason you have to order all at one time is because they only have an hour, so they'll go round everybody. So you only really get one order.
Okay.
So that's why people lose their minds. It's chaos. I mean, it's great, but like, yeah, you don't want to be the last one to pay at your table, because definitely people have forgotten what they've ordered.
Yeah,
so it's because they've also drank all that, and it's like not far from the top of the mountain,
Right.
so you're skiing all the way down,
Christ.
and it's pandemonium, but it's very fun pandemonium.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really, really good ski area. Loads of good off-piste bits, I think. I wasn't doing a huge amount that season, but yeah, it's because Saalbach's not a particularly high ski area.
Okay.
It covers quite a large expanse, so there's lots of
I've
bits.
heard that actually.
Yeah, in between the runs or things, there's quite a lot of off-piste there. It was good fun, good team, and yeah, good skiing. But yeah, maybe didn't take full advantage because I was part in Gastein.
Okay.
But then of course it was rudely interrupted by a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Rude.
Shit.
Right, I was just getting into my groove.
Yeah.
There was a free festival happening the week after.
No.
Yeah, I know. #raging. And then yeah, it was quite hard. I went back to Scotland, and Kurt went down to Wales, and yeah, obviously the world shut down.
Yeah.
Like, we were still thinking that we were going out for our summer season. We were supposed to be going to Kitzbühel.
Okay.
So like the summer in Kits. But yeah, we were still kind of geared up, and then they were like delayed the start date, but no one had really decided that it was cancelled yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think anyone realised the severity or like the longevity of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was quite. So I was back in with Mum and Dad, back in with Peter Kelly Artist and Rona Kelly.
Shout out Peter Kelly Artist and
If
Rona
anybody
Kelly.
doesn't follow Peter Kelly Artist on Instagram, I'll find you. Yeah, give him a follow. It's the most. It's the wholesome content that you need in your life.
It really is. Mm-hmm. It really is.
What a guy. But yeah, I was back. I was back staying with them. And also at the same time, I had a bit of a health scare. I went back and I had like for a couple of years I hadn't had a period, and I just assumed it was something like with my body. Well, it is, but yeah, I'd went to the doctors a couple of times, and they'd said that because I'd been on contraception for a long time, that it was just like a symptom or like an after, like it can take up to 2 years for them to come back regularly. So yeah, it had been a while, but I kept getting palmed off, and I'd went to like a dermatologist because my skin got really bad. I went to an optician because I was having these really weird visual disturbances.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like I could see everything,
but
I couldn't quite understand what I was seeing. It was almost like I couldn't interpret what, so I could sit here and I could see you, I could see the chair, I could see everything, but I'd have to actually focus on each individual thing. It was like there was like an interruption between like my understanding of what I could. So it wasn't like my sight was bad, it was just that sometimes I just almost like blacked out a bit. And I went to the optician, they were like, your vision's fine, and I was like, excellent.
Yeah.
So nobody really knew what was wrong. And then during COVID, I went to the doctor and I was like, okay, there's a few things, and because it was the GP, she kind of looked at everything. And she's like, okay, I'm going to get some bloods taken and we'll see what we're dealing with. I went and got my bloods done, and then because it was all over the phone at this point in time, because you weren't
yeah,
allowed to go
course,
in.
yeah.
And yeah, she actually called me and she was like, okay, I'm going to send you for some more tests. Like, you have to go up to the hospital. This was like the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, so it was like ghost towns, these places. Like,
Oh my God.
go to the health centre and there's just nobody there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
People came in suits to take your blood and stuff. And then, yeah, I went up to I think I was the first outpatient in the hospital, but on the phone to me, she was like, yeah, don't worry, these tumours are almost always benign. And I was like, sorry, what?
Oh my God.
What did you just say? And she was like, oh, I thought, have we not discussed that? I was like,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
You can't just whack in the T word.
Yeah.
And almost always benign. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
So, yeah, cheers.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, and she sort of explained that what she thought it was.
Okay.
Well, she didn't really. She said, better, let's go and because there wasn't many people in the hospital, I could get an appointment. She's like, I can get you in the next couple of days, so let's go and see what we're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I had this really weird, not procedure, like they pump dye into you.
Into your veins.
Yeah, into veins, yeah. And then you go into the is it an MRI or CT? Are they different? I don't know. Into a machine.
I don't know.
Into a big loud machine. But they also pump you full of adrenaline. So,
Okay.
well, I think it's like adrenaline, but it makes like your internal organs shake.
Oh my
So it was
God.
almost like I was completely stationary, but I was shaking inside. I was like,
Yeah.
and it's so that they can like separate your, like, because the tumour, it turns out, is in my brain. And they were trying to separate the tumour from so they could see where it was attached to.
Okay.
So yeah, it was either going to be a tumour on my brain pressing on my pituitary gland, or the other way around. It was going to be a tumour on the pituitary gland pressing on my brain. So that's what was and pressing on my optical nerve and things. So one was you take medication and it should be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And one was it's inoperable.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
there's not really any middle ground there. Like, we're
man.
pretty sure it's this one, but we'll just check. I'm like, yeah, give it a bash because I'd like to know.
Fuck.
So it was, and then of course I'm staying with my mum and dad's, and they're obviously worried sick about me.
Yeah.
Cart is down in Wales and can't just like see that I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then like my brother lives in Glasgow as well, and I'm pretty close with my brother, and we don't talk like a lot, but I would say we're pretty close.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I really don't want to have to go and tell you if this is the outcome that I don't want. So I'm going to I have to prepare. And I think maybe my dad was like, well, wouldn't you rather just find out? I was like, I don't think I can stomach finding that out and then having to tell my brother.
Yeah.
So I think we go and talk about what it is, and then we all know what we're dealing with. Because I also am very aware. I quite like to know everything, and being away from your family sometimes you worry that they're not telling you something, like if somebody in the family's not well or anything.
Yeah.
So I'm very conscious that I don't want like you to feel that way. But yeah, it worked out fine. It ends up that I've got a tumour on my pituitary gland that had been pressing on my optical nerve. Also means I can spontaneously lactate. What a great party trick. Nah, I'm joking. But at the time when it was untreated, so effectively my body was only producing. I know.
Such a wrong one.
Is that positivity?
Yeah, I'm like, there it is. There's that positivity everyone keeps talking about.
It was effectively my body was just producing one hormone. I think I've had it for quite a few years. So it was just producing prolactin. So that's what the doctor noticed in my bloods, that it was like I didn't have any testosterone or anything else. That I just had this one hormone, and it was like, I think the normal units is like between 0 and 5 units in every normal person. And I think I had something like 6,000 units.
Oh, Jesus.
They were like, So what
did that mean?
Effectively, my body hasn't produced any other hormones, so I just had it kind of changed who I am as a person.
Yeah, like what does that particular hormone do?
So literally, it's the hormone that produces milk in pregnant women.
Okay.
So
that's literally it.
Yeah, that's all it's there for. So when you get pregnant, that's what it does. I mean, men and women have it, but that's its only function, apart from just to scare me and my family. But yeah, so that was that. Listeners, I didn't spontaneously lactate, but that could be a side effect. But yeah, my skin being bad, I would gain loads of weight. I couldn't, and I'm quite an active person. I couldn't really lose it. Yeah, the optical disturbances. and of course not having a period for a number, because my body thinks I'm pregnant. So, but only with this one hormone, not no other, not like an ectopic pregnancy. It just thinks that that's all it needs to do is produce this one thing. So then I started taking. So I take 1/2 pill a week. It's tiny. The tumour's like it's not a particularly big one. It's like a pea size, but it's right. The pituitary gland is right at your brain stem, so it's pretty. They used to operate where they go in through your nose, through your sinuses.
Right.
But if they don't have to, it's a fairly. I don't really want someone poking around in my brain. If I'm honest. Eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Stay out.
Yeah, stay out of there.
Stay-
No one needs to see in there.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes it's not the easiest place to be.
Whatever's in there should definitely stay in there.
Lock it away. So yeah, it's good that I take these pills, but I think I maybe, and Kurt was obviously still down in Wales. I got like a set of results back to say that the drugs were working. The verve of the song is the drugs don't work. They do. And yeah, Kurt and I had a flight booked because they opened up Austria for a week, and we had a flight booked to come back out.
Okay.
This is like end of July. And we postponed it for a week because I don't think I had my results back. And then, first week of August, we got out to Austria. Because, I mean, like, the annoying thing with it was the side effects of the drugs are arguably worse than the symptoms of the tumour. Oh, so, are they? Yeah, because I get pretty bad headache, or I used to get pretty bad headaches. I thought that was just being an adult. So, but I hadn't really, because I'd been to like the dermatologist, to the optician, to the different, I hadn't really connected that they were all part of the one thing. So then when I started taking the meds, like obviously I attributed every single one of the side effects to the meds, because that's what it was. Yeah. So it meant that, I saw it as a bit of a negative, because like I do sometimes get headaches, but I'm just knackered all the time. Like I'm just, it just zaps your energy.
Right.
Which isn't ideal when you want to be hiking or doing these like. I think as well, like I got really stressed about it, because I like hiking with different people. Like I would, like if I meet people, then I would like, shall we go hiking? But then I don't want to be embarrassed, because like half an hour into the hike, I'm just like kaput. So it was a bit of a bummer, and because we'd done everything on the phone, so my consultant had been on the phone, my GP had been on the phone, I don't think it'd properly been explained to me that I thought I would take the course of medication and be done with it. But it turns out that I'm going to be on it for life. Yeah. So then I was like, I thought I was just going to be on it for like 3 months or whatever I'd been prescribed. And I was like, right, okay, it's fine, but I only have to put up with these side effects for a short period of time. Yeah. And then, I stopped taking them because I'd run out. I went to the doctor and got bloods done and sent them back to my consultant in the UK, and he called me and he was like, have you stopped taking the pills? I was like, yep, finished the course. And he's like, take them again.
Oh no.
I was like, what? And he's like, you'll be on them, like this is now for the so it doesn't I was under the impression that it like reduced the tumour, but it doesn't, it just keeps it at bay. But really, in the grand scheme of things, if I just have to take 1/2 pill and I'm a little bit exhausted on a hike, fine. Yeah. I'd rather not die. So yeah. It's it's all relative.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's big, and that must have been really fucking scary, actually.
Do you know, it wasn't. I think at the time, it was a bit scary, but until I really knew what I was dealing with, I didn't really want to scare myself. Like, the hardest part was seeing everybody else be worried. That was difficult. Like, obviously, mum and dad don't want to worry me, like, but you can tell, you can feel when they're nervous. Sure. And so when everything sort of turned out, everything came up Millhouse, then it was it was a good feeling. So although on paper it could be quite scary or quite daunting, it wasn't really. Arguably the aftermath was worse. Yeah. So that, like, now Kurt and I were living in Gastein for a bit on our own. That winter they thought it was going to happen, so Crystal moved us all to Saint Johann, because that was the other Brexit was happening. So again, I should have a little buzzer. But you had to be in the country to get your article to get your visa. Yeah. So we were already in the country, to be fair, but they flew everybody out because they thought, if we don't do this, we're not going to have any staff.
Yeah. So what happened was you had to be in Austria before Brexit went across.
Exactly. So I think it was fairly astute and fairly smart of Crystal. They saw that and then thought, right, okay, let's get them out. As I say, Kurt and I were already here, but we moved to St. Johann in Tyrol. And yeah, we're with a group of our colleagues. So yeah, Jamie and his partner and a few other people, Claire that was here, was there. And we just had the best snow in the world.
Yeah, we were very lucky here that year.
See what I said, that I wasn't coming to do this job to do the job. That was great. That was having all the benefits without having any responsibility. Like, although granted, like, we talk so highly of it, and I mean the snow was great, and they weren't really piecing it much, so it was all like high quality. There was nobody else on the mountain. But people have to remember that our entire livelihood had completely disappeared.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were going to have any jobs or if the company's were going to keep operating in these places. Like, we really had no information, understandably so. Like, no one had any information. But yeah, although we were making the most of the situation, there was still the stress of the fact that we didn't have any livelihood.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, the skiing was just, and we had the Salzburg super skis, so we were skiing everywhere in Salzburg.
That's so
yeah,
good.
We just packed the cars and go. So yeah, that was incredible, and we all stuck it out, and we sort of stuck together. And then the company in January said that they're cancelling the ski seasons. We've got 2 weeks to move out of our accommodation. I was like, well, that's excellent, because in Austria you weren't allowed to start a tenancy agreement at this time because you were supposed to be in lockdown, like full lockdown. So we. We're like, well, where are we supposed to, they wanted us all to fly home.
Oh, God.
And we're like,
no.
So we managed to find some places in Zell that would do short-term tenancies.
Yeah.
So we managed to find a couple of places to live, so we stayed there for a while. And then I think actually we moved to another place in Zell. Like, it's just, my concept of time over COVID is gone.
Same.
Like,
it was like 2 years of like not really knowing what was going on.
Yeah, and I'm like, did I move? I lived somewhere else. I was actually there all summer, and then I was there all winter. Like it was, it was chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, I spent some time in Zell ski area. Like, it's a small ski area and it's always mobbed. But see, genuinely, when there's nobody else on it, delicious.
Oh, nice.
It's really nice open pistes, long runs. Yeah, as long as there's not the 50 million Jerry's that you usually get. Not Jerry's, actually, Zell's not Jerry's, it's more of just people learning, so there's loads of ski schools, so it's always pretty chopped up. But for us, because there wasn't many other people on the mountain, that was great, and they have a glacier as well, so we could ski all the way into mid-April.
Yeah, nice.
Which was, it was really good.
Good deal.
Yeah, after that, we rolled in, I think we did, winter, summer. 2 winters. 1 winter. I can't remember. You're going to need to cut this out. After COVID, once it was starting up, we were living in Zell, and then I got my position in Meyerhofen, and Kurt was managing Sol at the time. And yeah, this is what I mean by the aftermath was probably more difficult, because what happened when I started taking the medication was the level of prolactin in my blood went down, but that meant that all the other hormones started coming back. So I just went through puberty again at late 20s, which was
Jesus Christ.
super fun. It was so fun the first time that I was like, please, again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my mood was all over the place, and it inherently changed who I am or who I was as a person.
Right.
Like, I just started feeling more myself than I had done in a long time, and that's such a difficult thing for me to wrap my head around, because how can I have not been myself? Nothing's changed. It's not as if there's, I know people change, but I just assumed that I was getting a bit older, maybe a bit more mellow.
Yeah.
But nah, I'd obviously, this had covered up a lot of the mentalness, I think. And I started coming back, and then it was really difficult, because then obviously Kurt and I's relationship suffered because of it.
So did you just feel like you had a completely different personality then, and it just started coming back who you felt like you actually were? Mm-hmm. And how long do you think it had been that you'd been?
About 4 or 5 years.
Whoa.
I'd had this, and yeah, and that's what I really struggled to wrap my head around, because how can I be more myself than myself, but I've not changed? And then when I was starting to feel like I used to feel, it's not like an epiphany had happened. It was as if I was feeling my 22-year-old self at 28, 29. That's also not the mindset you should have. Like, I should have grown up by then. So it was, I struggled with a lot of my sense of self, and and who I am and what does that mean? What does that even mean? And I think I've probably started placing way too much importance on it as well. Not too much, I don't even know who you are, but I didn't feel like I'd ever struggled to define who I was.
Yeah.
And this was now, I was just completely untethered. Like I thought I'd done all this work my whole life, or like what I thought, to understand someone that doesn't exist anymore.
Wow.
So it was it was rough, and it was rough for Kurt as well. Like it's hard, it's a hard thing to explain to someone, like, and also that the version of me now, and we aren't meant to be long term.
Right.
But that's also very difficult when I've changed who I am in a very short period of time and he's not, like,
yeah.
So yeah, it was
it's hard to get your head around something like that.
Yeah. So
for both of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not unsympathetic to the thing, but I think at the time I just needed to spend a lot more time on myself. And that sounds like a cop out, but that's absolutely what I needed to do, and that's what I did, because I was struggling to understand myself, which is something that I never had or I hadn't really faced before, because I think I'm a pretty sure of myself person generally.
Well, you certainly come across like that, like now. So, but it must, it
was crazy.
I can't imagine what that sort of journey was like from there on.
It's arguably like, so you could look at it as a negative, but it was an experience. It's something that, like, had I not had it, then I probably wouldn't have sat down and figured myself out as much as I had. I would have just thought that was part of my continual process, whereas I did have to face it a bit and had to sit with some pretty uncomfortable, like, things. And don't get me wrong, like, everybody's mental health's an ebb and flow, I think. Like, I think that there's times that we're stronger and times that we struggle more, and so everybody's going through this at any given time. But I think my mental health took quite a dip, and then I had to really consciously build it back up. And now I'm much more comfortable in the fact that sometimes I'm struggling and sometimes I'm great, because everybody has that. So I don't want to ever not acknowledge it, and just because you're having a bad moment doesn't mean that you're having a bad life.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I actually think that because I had to face it in quite a short period of time, I'm probably a bit more equipped about doing it now.
Yeah.
So I can not, like, even when this happened, like when I broke my ankle, like, I was very much like, I mean, obviously Angie's want to be the happiest person with a broken leg, broken knee, or I wasn't quite as positive as that. But I was like, right, I want to make sure that I get my head right. I want to get some help, some therapy. Ange very kindly recommended a PT, someone who is actually very caring, because if you tell me off, I'm not going to listen. Let's just be honest here. Shout out, mum. But he's got a great manner and a way of approaching things. So it was a very good idea for her to put me in touch with that. So I think I did all the right things to give myself the best chance, because, as I say, like, all the things that I love doing, skiing, being out, like, I love socialising as well, like, all of that was kind of taken away, or for a brief period I knew I wasn't going to be able to do them as easily. So I wanted to make sure that I had the structures in place that if my mental health did dip, there was other ways of me pulling it out, because usually how I would pull it out would be to go snowboarding and to meet people and to go to après and go to Mike's, and I'm doing some of those things but not all of them. So, and I think as well, obviously going out for and socialising, if you've not done all the active parts around it, you feel like a bit of a degenerate, and that's the only thing you're doing. So I've got to be quite conscious not to be too hard on myself, that I know that I'm going out like every so often, but it's not because that's the only thing I have. Like, I have to try, because if that's all I was doing in a normal season and I wasn't going snowboarding and all this, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Go up the mountain. Like, you're not making it, but I can't at the moment, so I have to just be kind to myself. So we're talking about your now injury that you've got. You've had a couple of operations on it. What actually has happened? So I've done loads of extreme sports in my time, and apparently I can't cross the road. I didn't have that on the list of extreme sport insurance details, but I walked across the road and slipped on some ice and buckled my ankle and have broken my tibia and fibia, and had to have surgery. So I had surgery to reconstruct the ankle again, and the guy And when I went to the doctors at first, he was like, you might need surgery. Our x-ray machine isn't great, so we're going to send you to the hospital. And they opened up the x-ray and the guy just looked at it and pointed at it and went, this is a mess. I was like, excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Wonderful. What bedside manner. But I mean, he was right. I think what he said was like the little bone on the inside had chipped, and he's like, usually a chip bone, it wouldn't seem like that big a deal, but it stabilises your whole ankle.
Right.
So yeah, I had to have surgery, and they were like, maybe 2, maybe 3 screws, and then I woke up the next day and they're like, put in 10. So excellent. This is great. But yeah, they put a couple of bone screws in the bottom to stabilise, a plate with some screws on the side, and then like a big screw across the whole ankle just to keep it all in place and to attach the ligament back on. And so I was non-weight bearing.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful red Gibbs for Christmas. We all signed it with a gold pen. Aww. It was very nice. But yeah, it was like a cast. Gibbs cast, stooky pot, whatever you call it. What would you call it?
A cast.
A cast. Okay, basic.
Yeah, I am basic.
Shell calls it a pot, and I call it a stooky.
Pot?
Yeah.
Stooky?
Stooky. I don't know why. It's a Scottish thing.
Well, I'd call it a cast, but I am, like we say, basic. But I am gonna interject very quickly. I think you've already kind of answered this, but I asked my often legend Alex Ford if he had any questions for you.
Yeah. Should I run?
No, I said he could stitch you up, and I feel like he's been
very
very mellow. But he said, do you have any advice for seasonaires who take a big injury and want to stay in resort, i.e. staying sane and staying positive? But I think you kind of covered it a little bit with sort of bits and bobs that you said there. But yeah, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very lucky. Like, I've got a good group of people here that I trust, and so yeah, the advice I would say, if you're a seasonaire and you want to stay in resort, I think your first port call needs to be about your accommodation, because a lot of people that come and do seasons, your living situation is tied in with your job. So it depends on if you're working and if you're not, and if the company are happy to keep you on. So yeah, first port of call would be, if you want to stay, sort out that you're not going to get turfed out at a moment's notice. Of course, I'm very lucky. I live in the palace with Rob and Shell.
Shout out,
yeah. And yeah. So I think that something that I struggled with a little bit at the start was leaning on people, and because I'm quite an independent person.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So I think asking for help sometimes, even though these people are like, you guys are my close friends, I still struggled with asking, can you take me here, can you take me there, can you do this, I can't even take my cup of tea from the kitchen to the living room, but Bobby's great at that. That's what so just trust yourself to lean on your friends. If it was the scenario was reversed, I would want to do everything in my power to make sure that person felt sexy, safe and warm, as Shell would always say. So make sure that you do lean on your friends for it, whether it be things that you tangibly need. So people say, like, loads of people offered if they could bring me shopping, or could bring, because I can't really get out and about.
No.
Especially when I was in the Gibbs pot Stooky cast. Trust that you can still be independent without with needing people to do other things. And when you do feel your mental health dipping a little bit, lean on people. Maybe have, for me it worked. I'm also quite pragmatic. Like, I needed to have things in place first, because it felt like something I could do to make sure that everything was going to be okay. Like, if that's the type of person you are, then maybe make sure that you have the structures in place. Or maybe if you don't want to, like, I used BetterHelp. I got in touch with a therapist, and if you don't want to do that, then just maybe find someone that you trust, and maybe tell them that you're going to lean on them, and say, like, okay, like, I'm not feeling great today, and have them understand where you're coming from. So I think with any of us, we just want to be understood and someone to listen to us sometimes. And sometimes the frustrations, especially when you're injured, seem really insignificant. Like the fact that I can't take my cup of tea from one room to the other, or if I do the dishwasher and stack the dishwasher, then I have to sit down for a while after it, like, does my nut in. So but you just have to take it slow. And as well, like I had surgery, the second surgery on Friday, just gone, and the surgeon was really happy. Everything's going really well. It's like he said that it's, what is it? He said the mobility's coming back. They took the big old screw out, and I can now slightly bend it. So yeah, just take the time you need to heal, because as I said at the start of this, the last thing you want to be doing is in a year's time being like, oh, I had an injury and it's going to give me jip for the rest of my life. Like, do all the things that they say to do, and just lean on the people around, like yourself, Alex, and yourself, Gina.
Yeah, shout out Alex, what a legend. Thanks for the question. Before the injury, before we got onto that, you kind of were talking about your personality change and everything, and how you went back to
old
you. But like, where were you?
I was here, so I was in Meyerhofen. So the season that I'd came after COVID, I was here in Curtis and Saul. We parted ways. And then that was the first summer that I didn't work for the company anymore. I decided that I wanted to, Meyerhofen was more important to me. But it's somewhere I felt settled. It was somewhere that I'd went through quite a tough time, and come through the other end, and I'd met a lot of people that I wanted to continue being friends with. I think as well, maybe that having the tumour, and being maybe a bit more subdued, I maybe wasn't as bothered about having some super close people. Whereas I've realised that is incredibly important to me. Like, it's having a good like social network, not just about like socialising, but having people that you can call on. I've realised that that's important. And when you're transient every 6 months, and as we've talked about, like, I've done some amazing things. I've absolutely loved my seasons. I wouldn't change the fact that I'd moved different places, but I was done with it. And they didn't have a management position here. I wasn't in the position that I wanted to go. I wanted to be repping here.
Yeah. So then you did your season not working for Crystal.
Yeah.
Or for TUI, sorry.
Yeah, working in Gasthof.
Gasthof gets a lot of mentions on the show, mainly through Seasonaire staying there as their first sort of, or one of their early accommodations.
When they didn't know better. I'm joking.
It's like a rite of passage.
Yeah, it is, to be fair. And to be fair, you meet loads of people there. It's very Seasonaire based. Like, there's lots of people. If you want to find someone to go to the park with, or go, that sounds, if anyone doesn't snowboard, to go to the snow park with, not just a dog. If you want someone to ride with, or go to the park with, or go up the mountain with, or do a bit of off-piste, or do something else, then the Gasthof's the place to meet them. But I worked there in the summer. I wasn't there for very long. I was there for about 4 months in total, and it was a great experience. It was a great experience. It was, but I don't think it was. It wasn't my forte. It's not something I could see myself doing long term. And if it was, it would just maybe in a different capacity. So. Yeah, with the Crystal position, when they offered it to me again, after Gasthof, the structure and the security was just too good to pay off. The season before as well, I'd had a great team. We'd worked really hard. Like, pretty much all of them had come back for another season, so I must have done something right. I mean, I'm going to say that with chest. Like, we went to the training the next year, and there was only a few returners, and every single one of the ones that had done a season in Meyerhofen had come back to Crystal Ski. So,
amazing.
Yeah, it was. I had huge amounts of job satisfaction, and I was really proud of the work that I'd done. So when they offered it back to me, and as well at the Gasthof, there maybe wasn't the same structure or the same ability to do that, which is a different beast. So I was kind of looking a bit more for a position that I could thrive in, and I could work quite hard in. So yeah, when I was coming back this winter, there was an area manager position, or a team manager as we call it in Crystal Ski. And Jamie again gave me a call, and I looked at doing. This is just another step up and more. I think as well, because I'd done a few seasons, and they were all moving around, and then I'd done 2 seasons managing here. I probably would have went back to Crystal, but I might have been a bit not jaded, but I might not have given it my all. It's an easy thing to just slip back into. So to have a new challenge and something that was going to push me and I can maybe be a bit more driven was really, really exciting to me. I was really looking forward to it. However, I was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then snapped my ankle.
Oh God.
Yeah, it didn't fully go to plan, but I have progressed slightly more within Crystal, which I'm quite happy about.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, my main thing is Meyerhofen. I know that sounds like we're just kissing the bum of Meyerhofen, but it's it's where I felt so settled. So yeah, that's my driving force, is to stay in the mountains as opposed to what I do to stay in the mountains.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Are you ready for the questions?
Born ready.
All right. So, if someone was planning to do only one season, where would you recommend them to go and why?
Do you know what? I don't have a great answer. Just decide what you actually want out of your season and then pick the place that is going to give you that.
What was your best job and worst job and why?
My best job was working in the chippy when I was 16.
Oh, yeah?
It's phenomenal. I would go back in a heartbeat. If I could sustain my lifestyle on a £5 an hour, I would. It was just like a chippy. Gourock's like a riverside town. There's just a little chippy called Janny's. Shout out Janny's. And I worked there when maybe 15, 16, until I moved away to uni, and the people I worked with were just great. And it was just, it's just one of those shitty jobs that honestly, it's the best job ever. It's so much fun and no one took it seriously. And I would go back there. And what was my worst job? I don't really have a worst job, in the sense that all of them have had their pros. I think, the bank wasn't really for me, but that's not because it was a bad job.
Yeah.
It was just, like, if one more person came in and said they knew my gran, I was going to blow my brains out. So, they just come in because she told them I was working there, which is lovely, but also I was like, all right, do you want some money?
What do you prefer, winter seasons or summer seasons?
I would say winter, right? We had this discussion recently. Don't get me wrong, there's loads more to do in summer. I'm also saying this in a winter that I'm not able to ski, so it feels like it's been a million years since I was snowboarding. Yeah. And it feels like it'll be a million more. But yeah, no, I would say winter. I like the vibe, I like the speed. I like the fact that it's chaos. I like that it's really hard work, but the payoff's massive.
Favourite place to snowboard?
I went to, for my birthday last year, Rob and Shell got me a day in Ishko, and my God, that place is amazing. So I would say, although I've only done a day, Ishko.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, it's 10 out of 10.
Excellent. In your opinion, what's the best thing about season life or being a seasonaire in general?
I think the other people, you instantly have a connection with people, like the reason that you're all in the mountains. It's kind of like that vibe of, see, you go away to uni for the first time and you're all in the same boat, and because nobody's got any mates, like everyone's just a bit more open. Yeah. That's the same with seasons, but on top of that, the people that have come to do seasons tend to be more open and adventurous people anyway. So yeah, I would say the immediate community that you can find if you try. Like, I'm not saying it's handed to you in a silver platter. You still have to make an effort and do the hikes and do the go skiing with people and make plans with them. But it just doesn't feel as nerve-wracking when you're in a Seasonaire town.
Yeah. So. What is the biggest challenge you faced during your Seasonaire journey, and what did you learn from it?
Okay. So the biggest challenge, I think, the biggest challenge, there's been loads for different reasons. I think that COVID not having an understanding of what our world is going to look, not world sounds wrong, like our industry is going to look like when it comes back. And then when people came back, I assumed that more people would book with a tour operator that usually wouldn't, because they wanted a bit more security, a bit more safety. It was somebody else's responsibility. Like, I expected that. So I thought we'd have 50% of people were nervous wrecks and 50% of people were just happy to be on holiday. But it turned out that everyone was just a dick. So, yeah, you had to test before you flew home. You had to test every couple of days. And they absolutely made it our problem. Like, you're an adult. Like, you have come on holiday knowing the restrictions and the fact that you now are like, well, I dropped my thing off at the Spar, but I was 2 hours later than the pickup, so they've said I'm not getting it. I'm like, well, yeah, we were 2 hours later than the pickup. Where do you think this is? Like, I also think it was quite difficult because in England you could pay for private things and they gave you them back in like 2 hours. That didn't happen here, so you can't just come and expect to pay your way out of this. Yeah. Like, I would say so.
Just expand on that a little bit, because I actually completely forgot about this because I wasn't a rep or working for a tour operator at all at that time. But what you're talking about is that the year following COVID, or the season following COVID, at least, or one or two seasons.
I think it's one season, yeah.
Yeah. So that the people had to test and have a negative COVID result.
PCR.
So PCR test, which actually had to be sent away.
It had to be like a government official result. It couldn't just be like a little test. And that was for each way as well. So they had to do it coming out, and they had to do it going back. Yeah, and we changed round our flight programme because Christmas was on a Saturday. So we didn't want people travelling on Christmas Day. Okay. So we did I think it was a Tuesday, I can't remember what days it was, and then a short week in the middle to then change it back to Saturday flight plan. Oh, right. So over the holiday weekend, none of these government-based testing labs were working. Yeah, of course. Which is their Christmas, leave them alone. Yeah. But people absolutely were apoplectic that we weren't doing everything in our power. Like, why don't you? I was like, look, we've given you all the information we have. Also, the information changed every week. Yeah. 1 week, the Austrians banned people coming in. 1 week, the next week, I think the UK banned people coming back. Like, it was changing so rapidly. And you got to remember that we are looking at Austria's rules and England, Scotland and Ireland. So you're not just looking at one set of rules. You've got to make sure you understand everybody's rules. And then you also kind of have to watch Germany, just because when Germany changed something, then the rest of Europe changed something, you know.
Yeah, so also a lot of the transfers can either be sort of, if you've got Germany. Munich as an airport, and also Salzburg goes through Germany. Through
the German corner, so you had to be careful. Like, it was, but the problem... All of those things are things, right? They were just part and parcel of working in the tourism industry at that period of time. My problem was with people's attitudes, that they came and just expected it to be... Because we were giving them the best information that we had, but it's all that we have. Like, you're expecting people... Like, let's be honest, the term or the rep or representative, holiday rep, it's not something that's usually highly respected, or it hasn't been in the past. And... you make a joke about the fact, do you even work? But then you're expecting us to make sure that your health is in check, and that we can that you legally can leave this country, and you're asking us to put in writing what, like, you're asking a 20-year-old rep that's their first season to drill down of what the government is advising. I'm like, you're an adult, you figure it out for yourself. Like, we're giving you everything that we have, but we're not crazy. These things change, and it's been super, it's been very changeable over the last, however long we were here. So that was the biggest challenge, because it wasn't anything to do with anything we were doing. Like, the weather being bad, you can deal with, like, different things being bad. Me having a crisis of self wasn't even as bad as that. As fully grown adults shouting at us because they couldn't get their flight home because they didn't put a test tube in a box in time. Yeah. Fuck off. I mean, majority of people were good, but instead I thought people would need some hand holding and understand that people hadn't travelled. That's not what I'm
needed to understand it, but you still have to do it for yourself.
Yeah, because then people would come out and they'd be like, I've not been on holiday in 2 years. I was like, I've not had a livelihood. Right? So and it was almost your fault that they hadn't. Like, I thought they would just be happy to be on holiday, but they were more like, they made it you had to do 1 million more, or your service had to be 1,000 times better because they hadn't had a holiday in a couple of years. You had to be.
That's true, yeah.
And also, they'd call us and be like, "Oh, I've got COVID, but they're saying I'm going to have to stay for 10 days." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Can I not fly home?" No, you can't fly home in a big metal box. Yeah. While we're still in a bit of a lockdown. It was it was crazy. People definitely made it your problem. And I think that probably helped some of the reps. Like, you do get a fairly thick skin pretty quickly. Yeah. Like, you just have to be a bit of a broken record that, like, no, you've come, these are the rules you have to follow. Like, the Red Cross were going to the people's hotel rooms, testing them, giving them these official results, and then removing them to another hotel, like a COVID hotel. Because also those rooms need to be cleaned and disinfected. You can't be in a hotel if you've been infected. And also then there's other people coming on holiday that need those rooms. So they'd remove them. Like, I'm not going there. I'm like, you are? The army are coming. Like, they're picking you up in an army vehicle. Get in. Like, are you mental?
The thing that blows my mind is, like, this fucking actually happened.
Insanity. It's like a computer game.
Now we're out of it, and it seems like it was a while ago. it goes from your mind a little bit. You kind of start forgetting, but fucking hell, listen to what you're actually saying. The army would turn up to pick up tourists on holiday to take them to a COVID hotel.
Mental. It was mental, and I think it was quite a nice hotel. Like,
I mean,
but that's
extra week in Austria, isn't it? But still.
But yeah, that was probably my
mind blowing.
Yeah, my biggest challenge was dealing with people's ignorance.
Well done.
Thank you.
What's one thing you wish you had known before going on your first season?
You don't need as much stuff. You actually don't need that much stuff.
That's very true, yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, I was going to Finland, so like mum and dad would every so often like add an extra pair of socks in that I maybe require. But yeah.
Finland, you probably did need more.
Yeah. But then you're wearing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is the ski community isn't as daunting as you think it is. I know I've talked a lot about community, but it can come across, it's quite a cool sport, so it can come across as like you have to fit in. It's not like that at all when you get out. So it's not as daunting. If you've never skied before, give it a bash. You'll look stupid for a week, but then after that, you'll love it.
Yeah. Are there any opportunities or unlikely experiences that stand out to you that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't have left Scotland in the first place?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to snowboard, so that's a pretty big one. But yeah, loads actually. Like skidooing to Russia was incredible, and all I mean, everything in Finland is an experience, to be fair. But also being in Austria and doing like high altitude peaks, staying in mountain huts, and in Italy doing all the wine taste, and down in Slovenia we went down to the coast, and just really immersing yourself in whatever the place has to offer. If you get to know people as well, then just say yes to a lot, unless you're scared. I mean, don't say yes for the sake of it, but going canyoning, going rafting, just give it a bash and see. So yeah, I would say that pretty much every experience I've had on a season I wouldn't have done if I didn't leave Scotland.
Yeah, for sure.
When I went to Linz.
You went to Linz?
Would have gone
2 days.
to the Tram Museum in Linz, for sure. It's a bucket list.
When you're away, what's one thing you miss most about your home country?
Well, I mean, like tangible things. Iron Brew, decent price whiskey. Nah, I mean, I do miss my family.
Yeah.
I do. I miss. I'm close to my mum and dad, and as I say, my brother's got two little ones, and I miss them.
Yeah.
I maybe miss like the simplicity of being in your home country. Like being able to speak the language is quite a big thing for me. Like I find languages really difficult, and I'm trying with mein Deutsch, but it's sehr scheiße. So it's taken me a long time, but maybe that the simplicity. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good to challenge yourself and be in these communities, but finding jobs, finding a partner, finding friends, and everything in your own home country is arguably a bit easier. Yeah,
for sure. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't go to uni.
Perfect.
Nah, don't. No, that's a lie. That's actually a lie. But maybe when you know that it's not going to be for you, then be a bit more committed to what you actually want from your life. Like all the experiences that I've had have been phenomenal. Like I'm not taking anything away from any of them. I'm glad I went to uni. I'm glad I did the stuff in the bank. I'm glad I worked in the fleet management company. But maybe just be a bit more direct in what you want. Yeah. Stay at the chippy. Never leave.
On the topic of advice, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and what's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Yeah, I'm gonna. They're the same piece of advice. My dad is very, very key on you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So do what you want to do and do what makes you happy. It like doesn't matter. Yeah, you don't need to have loads of money, and that's made me. That's pushed me to have loads of these amazing experiences, but it's also made me poor. So yeah, that's the best and the worst piece of advice.
Fair.
Yeah, but it's a good thing it's always a good thing to live by. He often says that other people's reaction is not your responsibility. So whatever you do, like you just have to be honest with yourself, and if the person, you can't control how somebody else reacts to something, so stop trying it. You're never going to be able to control other people. Just do what you think. As long as you're not hurting anybody, just do what you want to do. And then if they react badly, that's their shit.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Do you have any books, movies, podcasts, publications, or anything like that that you can recommend to our listeners which helped you on your journey? Or, biggest question ever, can you name one thing that has inspired you recently?
So books, I do see The Alchemist.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal book. That was quite reading it, it just made you feel this warm sense that everything was going to be okay. Yeah. So yeah, that I would highly recommend. It's quite a short book as well. Yeah, so by a Brazilian guy, Paulo Coelho. Podcast wise, I am a huge supporter of the Blind Boy podcast. Love it. Like it's light relief when you need it to be. It's also, he's openly talks about a lot of mental health struggles. A variety of topics. It's the cadence of his voice I just really enjoy listening to. So yeah, and I've got his short story books as well. Cool. Yeah, so the Gospel According to Blind Boy, yeah, I would highly recommend. It was actually 2 seasons ago in Meyerhof, and it was a rep, Matt, who put me in, or had played a couple. That year we didn't have much snow, so we were sunbathing in the garden in March, and he played 1 or 2 of them, and I really got hooked. I'm going to see him with Ewan and Gillian and Mum and Dad when I go back to Scotland. So cool. Yeah, I would highly recommend listening to a few Blind Boys.
What's one myth about Seasonaire life that you would like to debunk?
This is not going to be popular.
Oh, really?
The myth I'm going to say is that snowboarding or skiing or either are cooler than the other. They're both pretty cool.
That is true, yeah.
Like, do what you want. I arguably wish I'd skied first and then went into snowboarding, because I think it's easier to pick that up, and then you can, because also snowboarding with conditions, it can be way more fun in my opinion, but you have to have the right conditions for it. So to be able to ski and to board, it just makes you a bit more ambidextrous. And if you're doing a season, then give them both a whack. Yeah. You've got the time.
That's actually really good advice. Yeah. So now I have to ask my mum's favourite question. What is one thing you take with you everywhere you travel, or do you have any travel hacks?
Yeah, I would always take my speaker, even if I was going on holiday or going somewhere. Then, yeah, I was going to say I'm really interested in music. I am, but I also don't love silence. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if I'm cooking or I'm doing anything, like Rob and Shell will tell you, there's always music on. And I love music, yeah, and I think as well, if you're going somewhere new, it can make you feel more relaxed, it can make you feel more settled. If you're going on holiday and you're excited, it can get you pumped. So yeah, I think that a vessel in which to play music is never far away. And for a travel hack, it's something that I don't do, is plan your outfits. It's me. The handful of times I've done it, I've been like, this has been the best thing I've ever done, and then I just never do it again. Like, but yeah, plan what you're going to wear. Don't just go, oh, that's a nice top, and take it with you. It's just plan. You have like set outfits. Yeah. That's only if you're going for a bit. And then, as I say, if you're going away to do a season, don't go crazy. You don't need as many things as you think you need. Just chill out a bit on the necklaces and the pairs of shoes. You pretty much wear a good pair of boots and one other pair of shoes. That's it. So, like, as we say, the accommodations usually, they're not the most salubrious, if you will, and just having less stuff is just easier.
I feel like I could have travelled with like a third less than what I took on my first season.
Yeah, 100%.
At least a third.
And as well, anytime I was going home from seasons, they'd always fly me to bloody England. Geographically, Manchester is closer than London. I understand that. But actually, I can fly from London to Glasgow. But see, getting the train with 2 suitcases and a board bag, absolutely not.
No.
Chaos.
Not a fun time.
Chaotish.
So
less stuff. Be minimalist.
Is there anything that seasonal life has brought to your current life?
Yeah, a huge amount of confidence, I would say. Before, I was a shrinking violet.
Were you actually?
No. I've always been pretty confident. I've always been pretty...
I was a bit like, oh,
nah,
really?
I'm a gobshite. Nah, I do think it has helped. Yeah, it's helped shape who I am. Like, we've discussed that. Yeah, there's been some troubled times and some ups and downs in the who is Lauren Kelly, but yeah, I think it's helped shape, maybe more understanding of different people with different walks of life. Because I mean, like anywhere, if I went from my hometown to Glasgow, then I would only really understand people from that area, really. So to come out and have so much in common with people, and just doesn't have to be where you're from, it doesn't have to be your background. And also, I don't explain myself to people anymore. Like,
No.
see how, so at first I think I came out and did seasons and I felt like I had to explain who I am as well. Like, this is where whereas now it's like anyway, you just get to know the people and that'll come naturally. So yeah, I think it's given me confidence and like a bit of a peace within who I am. Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, maybe I'd have got there anyway if I was living in Glasgow. I'm not saying that that's not, but yeah, it's definitely shaped me and given me the confidence more, less sort of arrogance, because I think I did when I came away. I think I was pretty arrogant. Like, I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread, and now I just know that I'm the best thing since sliced bread.
But I think when you're younger, you do have a certain amount of arrogance. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to think I knew everything. I used to really
tell me shit.
Yeah, like, and it's only the older and older you get, the more you're like, I fucking knew nothing, and then you get older again, and you're like,
really,
I really know nothing. I still know nothing.
Yeah, I don't want to know anything.
Yeah, like now it's more like that. Like, please don't tell me anything.
Don't keep it to yourself. Like, yeah. So maybe a bit more, maybe less confident, but just more comfortable with who I am. Yeah, and I don't need to explain or define it.
If you hadn't gone and done your first season, what do you think you'd be doing now?
I don't think I would have. I think I would have. And I had to have made a change, because I don't think, as I say, I don't think I would be based in an office. It would, but then there's also loads of outdoors places in Scotland. Like, I think maybe I'd be living up north, in another small mountain community, in Scotland. I think maybe done something like that. I might have been back to studying, but I think the third time would have been a charm. Like, I don't think I'd have got it wrong again.
Is there anyone you would like to nominate to come and have a chat with me?
Yes, okay, yeah. There's two people that I think would be exceptional. I know you've had quite a few people from Meyerhofen, but I've mentioned her already, and really Michelle, Shelley Welly Waller, she's an incredibly interesting human being, and I think that she's got a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of insight. As I say, like, I go to her a lot for my guidance. So she's a very interesting person. And then the second one is a friend of mine from home called Katrina Still. We were actually born on the same day. And one of my other friends, Taylor. All three of us were born on the same day.
Oh, cool.
A meteor hit, apparently. And she's a bosun on the yachts, on super yachts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but she's been doing that probably as long as I've been doing seasons. She actually did, the friends that went to visit in Morzine, she was doing a season with them, and then broke both of her wrists at the same time.
God.
Excellent. And she's had a really interesting career. She's done loads of cool things. So she's done a ski season and then has done seasons on yachts. And she has climbed pretty high in a very, very male-dominated world. So I think, she's an interesting person to talk to.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
What's one parting piece of advice for anyone thinking about becoming a Seasonaire or starting a new adventure?
This, I think people have said this on the podcast a few times, but just do it. Like, just do it. And I know that's easier said than done. Also, when you tend to be a more adventurous person, that's really easy to say and not very easy to do. But even if you don't think that you're adventurous, or you don't think that you're doing it, if you have even an inkling about doing it, just come and give it a bash. As we say, there's communities here. Figure out what it is you want from your season, whether it be a summer, whether it be a winter. I mean, if you are a particularly nervous person, then work with a company like TUI. It's got a huge reach. It's got a huge amount of support there. Or come out and try and find a job here if you're a bit more slapdash. Then but just give it a go. Even if you can't ski or snowboard, because that's the other thing. Like, a lot of people say now, people shouldn't come and do these jobs if they don't ski or snowboard, but I would never be able to have done the job or to ski or snowboard if I hadn't just went. So even if you think that you might do a bit and then only one season, then come and give it a bash. We're nice folk.
Yeah, for sure. That brings us to the end, Lauren.
It's been a journey.
It's been a fun journey, though.
It's been an excellent journey. Thank you very much for having me. I know we've talked about this for a while, but it's been nice to Nice to do it.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the time today, and hopefully we will get some more podcasts with you featured on very, very soon.
Watch this space.
How does she even manage to turn the serious stuff silly? A massive thanks to the incredible Lauren Kelly for making me laugh non-stop and coming on the show today. If you liked this episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as we may well be hearing more from this Scottish legend on the show in the future. As always, thanks to Mike at Mike's Sports Bar for the studio space, thanks to sponsors Dope Snow, thanks to Mondo Wave for the music, and thanks to you guys for tuning in. See you all again next time.
What's one thing I always take? My vibrator.
Facts.
Facts. Facts.
Don't do it.
I might.
I'm not leaving that in.
I'm just gonna double for everything you put out. What do I take? Let me have a